I think that I will block by the person who I had been seeing. Um, like my messages are not going through. I like sent a text last night saying goodnight, and I normally get something back, and I didn't. And tried to send a message this morning, like it's not going through, but it goes through to all my other friends. Like why does this keep happening? And I know that this isn't like a me thing. Literally makes me so sick.
It just kind of dirties the feelings that I could have. I'm stuck on that old person. No.
At 31, I looked at my husband and I was like, peace out, dude. I'm going to go do me now.
Welcome back to Told You. What you just saw isn't about 3 different women. It's the same pattern showing up in different lives. Step 1. Walk away from a stable relationship with very little hesitation, sometimes over a few words. Step 2. Spend years trying to replace what was already solid, but ending up with people who were never meant to build anything serious. Step 3. Document the fallout online and frame it as if the situation just happened to them. Today, we're looking at 5 women. Different backgrounds, different stories, but a similar pattern. They left steady relationships, chased emotion and excitement, and found out that feeling doesn't always stay. Now they're back online, trying to make sense of what went wrong and sharing their stories as if they had no part in it. We're not here to judge, we're just looking at what's playing out. Let's start with the woman who ended a 17-year relationship in what felt like an instant.
Here's how I learned how to meet my own needs after divorce. So I'm that girl that was in relationships from the time she was 14 years old until at 31, I looked at my husband and I was like, peace out, dude. I'm going to go do me now. But it didn't take me long after leaving my marriage to just find the next guy. The thing was, the next guy was a lot younger and I knew that it wasn't going to last forever. He looked at me the same way. It was a casual thing. But ending that casual thing, that's when it got really hard. Casual guy and I are still great friends, but separating that meant me going out on my own emotionally for the first time since I was 14 years old. When that casual thing ended and I was like, okay, Jade, we're doing this. We're going to learn how to just fulfill our own need. I went through at least a 6 to 8 month span where I was very angry at men. Very angry. Because in my world, in my life, they've basically been a constant letdown. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And during that very, very angry phase that I had, I still, in my head, was thinking, I still need to find a partner. And that, the search hadn't ended. The problem is, when you centralize your focus on finding a relationship, you settle way too easily. You settle for trash. Because you're still in that headspace where it's like, it's better to have someone than nobody at all. So one day it hit me. I didn't know who I was. I had been a stay-at-home mom for years, and everything had just been a focus on the kids and everything. And one day I was like, I don't even know what I like. I don't know what I like to do. When it hit me that if I just took the energy and the focus that I had put on men, and focused it on learning new skills, cultivating friendships with good boundaries with men, and traveling or doing what it is that I want to do, it was revolutionary. And one of the things that I've noticed is that as I focus on just doing me and being the best version of me, I attract some of the best men. I have multiple deep friendships with men who I trust and respect, men who have shown me that they're not all like the ones from my past. And my secret to navigating all of this now is that all of the men that I meet are friend zone, all of them. Because I truly believe that my perfect person will be a friend first. And that my perfect person will come to me with honesty. So even though I'm such a romantic at heart and I really want love, primary focus is not relationships.
After 17 years with a husband, children, and a home, she left with just a few words, peace out, dude. She said she wanted to find herself. But what followed wasn't clarity, it was confusion. After her marriage ended and a short relationship that didn't last, she spent time feeling frustrated and unsure, blaming men for how things unfolded. What she realized was uncomfortable. She didn't really know what she wanted, or even what she liked. Instead of a clear direction, she was left starting over from nothing. She had been a stay-at-home mother, supported by the stability she chose to leave behind. Now she was trying to rebuild her life from scratch, but without a clear plan. Her new approach to dating was to keep every man at a distance at first, treating relationships more like friendships before anything deeper develops. She calls this a new strategy, something different and empowering. But in reality, it may just be another chapter in a long learning process. One she's still figuring out as she goes.
Love. That was a question I battled with coming out of my divorce, because here I was. I'd been with this person for 13 years. Obviously was saying, I love you, love, 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 right? For 13 years, I was communicating, I love you to this person. And when I got out of that marriage and kind of really looked at what is love, because here's this word I've been saying to someone for over a decade, and yet it felt anything but loving. And I recognized, I don't know that I like what love means to me at this point in my life, because loving him hurt me a lot. Even trauma, right? Like, I equated love now to pain, and I didn't want to move forward in my life and start to pursue other relationships with that definition of love. So I had to go on a really polarizing journey of trying to figure out, what does this word actually mean to me? Because the word that I had equated to love and sacrifice and putting his needs above my own and all of this, kind of immature thinking of love before I got married, really wasn't serving me moving forward. And so I had to really question, what does love mean? Because the way that I defined love up to that point in my life did not give me the result that I wanted of a partnership that was going to last a lifetime. And it caused me to sacrifice parts of myself that I really do enjoy for somebody else who just wasn't happy with themselves. And I took that on as like, I'm the problem, because they should be happy with me. If I love them, I'll do anything to make them happy. And what I recognized in kind of this exploration of love is that I defined love as essentially codependency. I didn't even know what that word was in my marriage, and I had been told that by a friend of mine, that we had a very codependent relationship. And I was like, because I thought that's what love was. His happiness was not dependent on me. Sure, I was a contributor to it. Sure, I had an influence on his happiness, but I was not responsible for his happiness. And I think there's a big distinction to make. So through this exploration, and I encourage you to go on your own journey of like, what does love really mean? And is that what I have in my life? My definition of love that serves me best at this season of my life is simply being known. Being known intimately, vulnerably, messily, right? Being known, all parts of me of being known. And when somebody can know me, then I feel loved, right? All parts of me. So when we talk about getting into relationships or falling in love with someone, a lot of people want to throw around love very early on in a relationship because they equate the increase in hormones and dopamine and all the oxytocin and all that lovey, good, fun feelings. And some people think that you don't love someone until you've been through a hard time and you've seen how they handle it. I look at love as being known, and there is no right or wrong definition to it. It is very personal to each person. There's no universal definition of love. But for me, it's being known. And so the more known I feel by someone, the more loved I feel. And same thing when we're talking about self-love, right? Knowing yourself. So the more that, if you want to go on loving yourself, if you want to have high standards for yourself, if you want to increase your self-love, then increase what you know about yourself, which means spending time with yourself, which means getting to know yourself, what you like, what you don't like. So what's your definition of love? Like, if you really thought about it in the most simplest way possible, what is your definition of love? Because mine is being known. And hey, my name's Tara, and I'm on a mission to create a self-aware army, because it's lonely in these self-aware streets.
After 13 years of marriage, she came to a conclusion that it wasn't the relationship that was the problem. It was the idea of love itself that needed to change. She went on a personal journey, reflected on her experiences, and arrived at a new definition of love: being truly known by another person. That became her message, something she shared publicly and built content around. Over time, she turned that idea into a kind of brand, inviting others to relate to her experience and perspective. What's missing from the story, though, is the other side of that relationship. We don't hear his perspective or what he lost or how he experienced it. Instead, the focus stays on her version of events. He may simply be moving on with his life, unaware that he has been turned into part of someone else's story online. In the end, the message becomes less about love itself and more about how personal experiences get reinterpreted and shared with an audience watching every step.
Time to give up on dating. That is it. I'm done. I will never fit into this dating culture, ever. And here's 3 reasons why. 1, I don't multi-date. If I'm dating someone, I won't continue swiping, looking for the next best thing. You have my full attention. I'm not talking to multiple people and putting this into some form of competition. That's not my style. I can't do it. Secondly, I don't ghost. Why? Because I'm an adult and I can actually have a conversation and explain how I feel quite clearly. 3, I don't play mind games, any form of games. What you see is what you get. I won't blow hot and cold. Never be in doubt with how I feel about you, and I like the same back.
She says she is done with dating and lays out her reasons. No more games, no ghosting, no juggling multiple people. On the surface, that sounds clear and mature. But the timing matters. These standards and expectations didn't appear during the relationship or marriage. They show up after it has already ended. And that raises a simple question. Where were these rules when there was still a stable relationship in place? Because when standards are introduced only after things fall apart, they often apply to people who are no longer part of your life, and not to the situation that already happened. In the past, the husband didn't receive this version of clarity. He received an exit instead. And now, what's being shared publicly isn't just about dating choices. It's a reflection on how the story is being framed after the fact, all while the camera is still on.
I think that I will block by the person who I had been seeing. Like, my messages are not going through. I sent a text last night saying goodnight, and I normally get something back, and I didn't. And tried to send a message this morning, it's not going through, but it goes through to all my other friends. Why does this keep happening? And I know that this isn't a me thing. Literally makes me so sad.
She asks a simple question. Why does this keep happening? She sent a message at night and got no reply. In the morning, it still wasn't delivered. She had been blocked by a man she was casually seeing. Not a husband, not a committed partner, just someone she was involved with. After looking at the situation, she concludes that none of these outcomes are really about her. Not the end of a long marriage. Not the short relationship that followed. Not even the man who blocked her without saying a word. Each situation is treated as something separate, with a separate explanation. But at some point, there's a common thread across all of it. The only thing present in every situation is the same person recording and sharing the story as it unfolds. And still, the question remains open. Why does this keep happening?
This is a hard one. I had a pretty good time on the date. But when he went to kiss me, it reminded me of this time that I was kissed by the person that I cannot seem to get over in 5 years. And this person, when he first kissed me, he walked towards me and cupped my face in his hands and kissed me. And it was like a movie, that moment where it was just so glorious and both of you want it so bad. And so tonight when that happened, it was nice. It was nice that he wanted to kiss me, and I definitely wanted to kiss him. I mean, I'm attracted to him, which is rare, which is nice. And I'm fine with that. right at the back of my mind. I just remembered that time when I fell in love with someone else, and it just kind of dirties the feelings that I could have. I'm stuck on that old person. I hate that.
Sometimes, it's not the person she's stuck on. It's the memory. She went on a date. He kissed her. But somewhere in that moment, her mind was already back with a man from years ago. A man who likely hasn't thought about that moment once. He has moved on with his life. She has the memory. Every new person she meets gets compared to a moment that no longer exists. This pattern repeats across many women in many stories. Some left relationships quickly, some after years. Some built audiences around their freedom and even monetized their experiences. Now they're back online, documenting the aftermath and calling it a journey. But they focus on the consequences, not the choices that led there. Meanwhile, the men they left, they didn't make videos. They didn't recruit followers or redefine love. They quietly moved on. And that quiet, steady absence seems to be the hardest thing for them to accept. The stability they once dismissed as a cage was actually the last person who chose to stay. Told you, stay sharp.